Hey, welcome back to the show. We're keeping it real, goes right. Welcome back to Real Take Sports Talk number 61. And also a big welcome to my special guests for this show, Damitro and Brooks from the
Yes, sir.
HMO podcast. Boys, how you doing?
Doing great, man. Thank you for having us on tonight. Real Take Sports. What's going on, everybody?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you for having us. And we're ready to bring some good energies to you guys.
Absolutely. Keep bringing that good energy. And if you got some good energy in the chat, let us have your questions. Hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit
Oh
that
yeah.
notification bell so you get notified whenever new videos are released. Before we start, though, I just want to give you all an opportunity to kind of talk about your channel, talk about where you guys are at, like what you guys do, and really plug your stuff. So this is unlimited shilling time. Go for it. Tell us about HMO. How'd you guys get started?
Well, love telling this story, man. This is like the millionth time I've told this story, and it never gets old, man.
For
I
sure.
started off doing podcasting, Montgomery College after high school. Brooks was doing the sports journalism. He had his website. I thought it was dope, man. So I figured, why not do a link up? Why not have collaborative effort? Just get some podcasting going on, some chill, dope vibes, sit around the mic, just conversation with the homies. Like, we just looked at it as really talking about things that we like and know about and seeing what we could do with it, putting stuff online, just getting the equipment that we needed to get it done. And really there's so much more to it. That I'm kind of just making it like a long story short, but it's been a long time running now. It's been 4 years now.
Yep. Just
About
about
4 years in the making with
just to back off and just to back off of that, man. Like we we know people that have been having like a certain plan to get this podcast thing going on and making sure everything is correct. And we literally just dove headfirst in. Pedro was able to help really just get us started, just getting all the equipment going on. I just brought my ideas by myself, and I mean, a lot of the credit goes to Pedro, but then a lot of the credit goes to our former partner Brady and another former partner Muzzy, who helped us go from just sports to just talking about music and other cultural stuff. So we've gone through a lot of transformations, I would say.
Yep.
But now it's
Rebranded
just
ourselves so many times. So many
exactly,
times.
and now it's just Pedro and I. We're doing our own thing. We've been doing it together uh, since like year two, basically. And it's like it's been a major blessing, man. Because if you had told me that Pedro and I would become brothers like this and be doing a podcast for this long in high school when we first met each other, I've been like, there's no way. I barely even know the guy, and now, like again, like I said, we're like brothers and
Nah, man,
spend so
look,
much time around each other now.
something that's crazy is how, everybody has that one friend in high school or maybe like acquaintance that you see in the hallway and he's just cool vibes. Like, that's how I saw Brooks. Like, you know, I know that he's a cool guy. We dap each other up. We never really had too many conversations though. Once we started doing this podcast, the symmetry the chemistry, I should say, all just started coming together, and we started putting our knowledge and just our passion for sports together into this podcast, and it formed a beautiful friendship. I view Brooks as a brother, like family to me, and it's crazy what podcasting could do. Have real life effects. It's been a blessing, man. Really, it's one of the first things in my life that I've ever fully committed to. Up to before the podcast, I was down a terrible path, man. Like, just no type of self-control or like discipline, and kind of avoiding guidance too, right? So Brooks and I linked up at a perfect time, and just formed something beautiful. And it probably could be more subscribers, more views or whatever, and I'm okay with where we are now, just the way that we've just steadily been growing. At some point you got to realize, as a creator, it's not always about the views, it's more about the uploads, just getting shit up there, having just forming the same way Brooks and I formed a brotherhood and a partnership. We're trying to build a partnership and a family like vibe with the viewers as well. And now Real Take is like podcast family, J&J like podcast family. That's how it works, man. So The creatives in the DMV have been, I really feel like I've been going hard for each other as of late, man. So real take again, man. Omar, we really appreciate you having us on, Brody. You got a dope platform as well. Seeing the growth on your end as well. It's been beautiful to see, man. So again, man, we're really honored to have you on, to be on your show.
And I'm so happy to have you guys in here. I know Cincy just joined in the chat, and as did Ravens Flock. Both of you guys, anyone who watches this, please go do me a favor. Personally, do me a favor. Go to youtube.com/HMO podcast. Link is in the description of this episode below. Give them a sub. Follow them on Twitter. It's all the information's right there. I can promise you won't be disappointed. Dro puts out some great content. He had a great video about Jackson Mahomes earlier last week. I thought it was great. And he had some narration. It kind of reminded me a little bit of like a documentary vibe, a little bit of a Jamari vibe too.
Shout out to Jamari, man.
Yeah, shout out to Jamari.
Big fact. Shout out to Jamari.
So I dug that. And yeah, so just please, all the information's right there. And for anyone listening on the podcast version, Instagram, HMO.podcast, Twitter, HMOENT, YouTube.com/HMO podcast, and Patreon.com/HMO podcast. If you're feeling frisky, if you want to do that, buy the boys a cup of coffee, whatever. Please go do that. Help them out. And last thing I'll say, and then we can get into sports and what we're gonna get into tonight. If you guys had one thing you could say to maybe a potential content creator or a podcaster, someone who's looking to start, what would be the one piece of advice that you think, based off your experience, you would give?
I guess
Pedro, you can start.
Yeah, I'm just consistency. Like I was saying, that's the most important thing as a creative is consistency, but at a reasonable pace. You want to not let your foot off the gas pedal, but you also don't want to burn out. So consistency at a solid pace where you're getting stuff done, but also not killing yourself either. Just stay consistent. Don't worry about getting the views right away. It takes 10, 15 years and nothing's changing, then, then you might want to look at something
you might want to
different.
do something about it. 10, 15 years, damn, I still got 2 subscribers.
But you just got to stay consistent. Just keep trying to improve and listen to feedback. Don't let people piss you off with their criticism. If they got something to say, they don't like your show or feel, changes could be made, listen to people, try things out. And after that, just keep being consistent.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would say the same thing, man. Stay consistent, stay faithful to the grind. Because again, it's not easy being in this business, man, and wanting to continue to do this weekly or daily, whatever it may be. Just stay consistent, stay faithful to your grind. And again, make sure you have people around you that basically are smarter than you or are just better than you at what you do. You know what I mean? Because you want to constantly be motivated to continue to do better. So I would say always have someone around you that's gonna inspire you to do better. And again, stay consistent and stay faithful to your grind as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can honestly say this, without reservation or whatever. When I started doing this podcast thing, I kind of got turned on to your guys' work because I follow Brooks on Twitter, and we kind of know each other through a mutual friend. Big shout out to Simon.
What up,
Trenzy.
Simon?
Yep, my big boy.
But and I saw you guys had a podcast, so I really thought about it, and I think part of the reason I kind of not switched over, but I kind of also put more emphasis on YouTube. It was because of I saw you guys kind of putting out some content there, and I was like, oh, why not give it a shot? And I started throwing some clips up there. So real talk, thank you guys for the inspiration for that, and always being real. We love that. So thanks.
That's dope, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate you, man.
That's
Thank
dope.
you.
All right, enough of this hanky-panky bullshit. Let's get to what we're talking about today,
yes,
and that is sports. Diehard Bengals fan in the chat says, I was subbed since I saw it was scheduled. Big shout out to Diehard Bengals fan. That's my boy Cincy. Ravens Flock says, both y'all channels need both y'all channels got great content. Bengals and Ravens AFC Championship. I don't know about that. We'll talk about that later. But
Whoa, that's a big
yeah,
bold
that's a
prediction
bit
right there.
bold prediction. Throw that
Hey,
red flag.
that's not even too far off. The Bengals. Hey,
Nah.
man, don't sleep on them, bro.
Scabs.
Don't sleep on Cincy this year. Not this year.
Nah, scabs, bro. Joe, you wait till Joe Burrow. My man's gonna be in the hospital bed by week damn, we already at week 7. All right, give it till week 11, bro. My man's gonna be like, damn, my other
boy's looking resilient this year, man. Hey, we'll
looking
get
like
to it though.
looking like homie from SpongeBob. My leg. Let's move on, guys, and get seriously. The NBA season tipped off this week, I should say, and we got a lot to look forward to this year. We got the storyline, can the Bucks repeat as NBA champions? The whole what's going on with the Brooklyn Nets, the Lakers, they retooled, rebuilt, and they are ready to go. We also got a bunch of young teams in the Hawks and the Mavs who are looking to really make that next step. The Mavs especially after losing twice in the first round. A lot to talk about in the NBA this year, guys. Brooks, let's start with you. What would, in your opinion, is the biggest storyline this year in the NBA that people should keep an eye on?
I mean, besides the obvious one with Kyrie, shoot. I would say, I mean, just that combination of what's going to happen with Russ and LeBron James, man. I mean, we just saw LeBron James was out for a game already with an ankle injury. Russ stepped in with 31 point triple-double. Brought him that second victory of the night, or second victory of the season, I should say. I think that's like the biggest one that everybody should be paying attention to.
Big facts. Dro, what about you?
I kind of zoned out right there. So you're saying the storyline that we should be looking forward to?
Yeah, absolutely. What's like the biggest thing to keep an eye on basically this season, you think?
Look, man. The Lakers are essentially a shoo-in for the finals. If I think people need to be on the lookout for this new Lakers pick and roll that they're going to start running with Russell Westbrook. I think if Russell Westbrook gets comfortable with that and starts understanding down the stretch, he can't touch the ball as much. Got to start understanding his role on the team. I think they're going to end up reeling off a pretty good season, better than people are going to be projecting them at probably right now. I think they're capable of winning 55 to 60 games this year.
Yeah, I like both of those. For mine, I'm gonna go with one that Brooks you kind of mentioned in the onset of this conversation, and that is the Brooklyn Nets. It just as a whole, including the Kyrie situation, including the situation of what might happen to James Harden after this season, the expectations for that team coming into this year, like all that kind of stuff. And look, for anyone who has like opinions about the whole Kyrie situation, if you're watching this, like it's not even really about like, you know, the decision of what he made for his health. I don't even care about that. I'm not gonna lie to you, but there are a lot of people out there who are saying we shouldn't even talk about it as if it's like nothing that affects the game. I'm like, dude, it does affect the game. It's like it took one of the most crucial title contenders in this entire NBA season, like, and it took them from being probably the top team that a lot of people thought were going to win the title to, you know, like we don't really know what they're going to be. And I think like that in itself is merit enough for us to talk about the impact of not having Kyrie on the team. And we can argue about all the other stuff. I don't really care. Like that's, if you want to make that decision, that's yours. But you know, I think losing Kyrie and, you know, what might happen, whether they trade for someone, you know, the idea of them trading for Ben Simmons has been thrown around. I don't know if that's really an upgrade for them. I don't know if that's really going to, you know, fix like their problem offensively, but I think just how the Brooklyn Nets unfold and what they do this year is probably going to be the biggest thing to keep an eye on, you know, in this NBA season, just because of how crucial, like, everyone had the Nets as their title favorites. It was Nets-Lakers going into after the offseason. That's what everyone was talking about, and now it's we don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, man. The whole I'm not trying to get into the whole why Kyrie is not playing, but I definitely Agree with you there. They become a team that's middle. And can we talk about one thing? You know, now that we're talking about the Nets, James Harden seems to have he went back a level. The whole free throw, not being at the free throw line, I should say, the rule changes where he's not getting these same kind of fouls by just throwing himself into everybody, how he's been all these years. We're going to see him shoot a lot less free throws. That means he might average like 20 points a game this year, like or somewhere around low 20s. He's not going to be in the 30s or even the high 20s. That affects them even more, where they can't really be a top 2 to 3 team in the East. You got Chicago right now is going crazy, right? And we got Charlotte right now. We'll see how Charlotte does, but the East is looking nice right now. So I don't know if there's really room for the Brooklyn Nets, man, and especially the way James Harden's been looking.
Don't sleep on Charlotte, man. That's a bad man in LaMelo Ball down there. That's a bad man. That man, evil, bro. I think LaMelo, like, you know how like Lonzo was hyped up to be like the next big thing by LeVar. Man, yo, if LeVar was smart, he would have saved all that hype for this young kid, LaMelo. I'm telling you, he is the real deal. He's got a chance to be and I'm not saying, and this might be hyperbole, he's got a chance to be like a top 3 player in this league, like within the next just few years. That's how highly I think of LaMelo Ball's play.
Bro, yeah, definitely.
I mean, I want to switch it back. I mean, Pedro was just mentioning his brother and Lonzo, or not his brother, but, you know, the Chicago Bulls. Like, Bulls are 4-0, first 4-0 start since 95-96. Lonzo Ball looks like a completely different player now. I mean, the guy is literally playing free and confident. I actually see him having a little bit of an in-between game now. And, you know, Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, they're doing their thing. But the fact that Lonzo Ball is playing so well right now, I mean, it's only 4 games in, but, like, the dude can be a walking triple-double if he wants to be. He's got confidence now. I mean, the Ball brothers, at least the 2 of them, are looking really good, the youngest and the oldest. I hope that Jello can eventually find a spot and stick to it. I mean, he's playing for the G League Swarm, I should say. But, I mean, just to piggy off of what Pedro was saying about the Nets, I mean, James Harden was the poster boy for those little ticky-tack. I'm going to hook my arm into somebody else's arm. I'm going to jackknife my legs whenever I shoot a 3 and someone's in my space. I mean, it does knock you down a peg when you can't get all those ticky-tack fouls, but this is a guy who was, if not top 2, top 3 offensive threats, just being able to have that ball on the string, that step back 3, that's his signature that everybody does now. I mean, he's going to be a top 15 scorer in the league, regardless of whether or not he gets the free throws. I can't even say he's going to be only a low 20 guy. I mean, the guy is a walking bucket, and having Kyrie there would have been great, but James Harden and KD are an unstoppable duo too. It's just a matter of what everybody else does. Can that bench actually come together? Can Patty Mills lead that bench? And we'll see, man, because I don't know right now.
I like that. I just wanted to very quickly go back to something y'all were talking about with the Chicago Bulls, because I think that the Bulls, when you look at the way that they're built, like they have DeMar DeRozan and and Lonzo, who are like kind of like, in my opinion, probably like, the more, like, as far as like importance on the, like, that core is important, but I would say, like, they're secondary to someone like obviously like Zach LaVine. But you know who I think gets lost, and whose talent I think gets lost in like talk of all these stars who went to Chicago? Someone like Nikola Vucevic, who even this year, he is still averaging a double-double at the beginning of the season. Like, this man, like the other night, I believe he had like 19 rebounds along with 15 points. And I think he's going to like settle into a role where he's going to be just dominating the boards and, getting his like, nearly 20 points a game, which that's what he does. He wakes up and he's just like, okay, I have 20 points and 10 rebounds now. Now I go to sleep. So like that's what my boy does. And I think like, I just think like having that depth and all these different players who, if Zach LaVine's having an off night, it's okay. You got DeMar DeRozan. You can work Vucevic in the paint. Or, Vucevic's having an off night. Okay, cool. We're going to run everything through Lonzo Ball, play slow ball, and then hopefully everything goes well. Like, they are one of the most honestly versatile teams with those players intact, and if they can all stay healthy together, I think, man, like if you're the Bucks, you got to look out for this team. If you were any team in the East, the Heat, who I think are going to underperform this year, it's a personal thing of mine. You got to look out for the Bulls, man. The Bulls are no joke this year.
Yeah, yeah, bro. Chicago is looking insane. That's why I'm saying the East is, for once, might be better than the West. They might just be better than the West. It might actually have been that way since maybe even last year. The East is starting to get really competitive, and parity is starting to kind of come back. We'll see if the Lakers and Nets fuck that up or not. But I think, I kind of want to change my answer from your original question. The first question you asked, the biggest storyline we should be looking out for really should be the rule changes. I think that now we're really going to start seeing who are the pure hoopers in the league and who are the guys that were manipulating the refs and the rules to be able to get more points and eventually get on the first or second all NBA teams and stuff like that. Guys lose money because other people are manipulating the rules. So now that everyone's on an even playing field, it's going to be interesting to see who are the pure hoopers. And I agree with what you were saying, Brooks. Harden is an automatic bucket. So at some point, he's going to have his stretches where he's going to go off. I still don't think he's going to average that many points. Like, it'll be lower than previous seasons. And come playoff time, that's where we're really going to see the rule change and how significant they are going to be.
Yeah, and the quick side note on Harden too. I mean, what was it 2017, 2018, I believe, and then like 2018, not 2019. Those were just like, if you wanted to watch Harden games or Harden highlights, it was just tough to watch because you saw him just put up, what was it, like 10, 11 free throws a game, and you saw that he was always going to just be drawing that foul and hooking somebody's arm, and it doesn't make the game entertaining. And I think that's why the rule change is great, and I hope they actually stay consistent with it because, they don't always do it throughout the whole year, but to actually be able to be like, hey, we're going to emphasize, you can't do quote unquote unnatural basketball moves. I mean, Harden's not going to be able to benefit Trae Young, someone like Bradley Beal who does it kind of on the low. I mean, it's a whole bunch of guards that aren't going to be able to go to the free throw line like they usually should or could. And, they're going to have to be aggressive in the paint and actually earn those fouls instead of just, again, getting the ticky-tack ones.
Yeah, I agree. And, I want to just say this on record because I've said it before. I'm going to say it again. I love LeBron James. He has done a lot of good things for the game. And he, yes, is, I think it's inarguable. We can have that debate later. Definitely top 3 all time. But the one thing I've always criticized is, man, there was one, like, he's the one guy who really, I think, really overpopularized, kind of flopping and, like, begging for calls. Man, that's the one thing. That's the only knock I have against LeBron. And this is the same guy who delivered my team a title. All right? Big shout out to the 2016 Cavs. I love LeBron. I don't give he left. He came back. He won a chip. He deserves to leave.
That shit was epic, man. That was an epic chip.
It was great, but you're right. Hopefully these rule changes fix those things. Last few things, and these are just like superlatives, so you guys can just like say them out. Who do you think is going? Who do you think are going to be the 2 teams? You don't have to tell me who wins. 2 teams that represent the East and the West this year. What are your predictions? Brooks, why don't you go first?
For the East, I'm gonna say the Bucks get back to the NBA Finals. I love what I'm seeing from Giannis right now. Hopefully Drew Holiday comes back pretty quickly from it was a calf injury, I believe it was, last week. That team is going to be scary for years to come if they stay healthy. They stay, swallowing that ego and all that. And then the West, I don't think it's the Lakers, man. I don't think it's going to be the Lakers, but if it's not the Lakers, I don't know who else. Because, I mean, it's hard, man. It's really hard. I mean, in the West.
Hey, you got to think about the whole injury bug that comes around the end of the season and the playoffs, and there are usually teams that end up benefiting from that.
Yeah, that's true.
So I don't know. I mean, it's not too far fetched to think that we can get a finals rematch. Maybe Phoenix makes it back again, and
Yeah, it's
I would
possible.
think they would lose again. Honestly, I think the
Oh,
Bucks. For me personally, if it's not the Lakers, it's the Bucks. Those are the only two teams I truly feel like can win it all. Like the Bulls are going to be a fun team, but I think eventually youth is going to catch up to them, and
And
maybe
experience
the
too.
injury bug. I hope not, but I really would hope not because it looks like the funnest team in the league right now, Chicago Bulls. You got Zach LaVine breaking MJ records, and first time 4-0 since the 90s and all this. They're creating this fanfare, and what happens when these teams start. What happened?
it's 4 games. 4-0 for Like I'm just I'm no I'm not saying that to you. I'm just like people are actually talking about that. Like
Bro,
that's a record.
wait, for the first time they've been 4-0.
Yeah, yeah. So
Oh,
people are actually.
Yeah,
the MJ records too.
the MJ
Well, no, the
record.
MJ records I get, but the
He
four
just
and
passed
zero.
MJ in 3-pointers all time for the Bulls. And then this is their first 4-0 start since 96, 97. So they're
Okay.
just already off of 4 games with a small sample size, but
No,
looking
yeah.
on paper, it looks great. And those headlines and narratives already being created could potentially lead to a surprising season. Like what happened with the Warriors when they went 73-9. We could see a 60-win Bulls team. Who knows?
I agree. I think I love the Bulls and the way they're constructed. I still think they're a year away though from potentially competing for a chip. That being
Yep.
said, the only team in the East that I have any confidence in making it are the Bucks. So you got to go with the Bucks in the East. But in the West, I think y'all are sleeping on a team that last year without their second best player almost
The
made the
Warriors, yeah.
playoff. The Warriors. How you gonna sleep on the Warriors, bro? Dubs Nation, stand up. And we're gonna talk
I was
about the
just
Warriors. We're gonna talk
I
about
was
the
just talking
Warriors.
to a I was just talking to a friend about this the other day too, because he's a big Klay Thompson fan, a big Steph Curry fan. But I was just telling him like Klay Thompson is coming back from like these two devastating leg injuries, right? And he isn't a guy who really his game isn't based off his athleticism and being able to do these amazing things, midair, like a John Moran or Derrick Rose in his prime or Russell Westbrook. But he's so active on that court, and he's putting up so many shots, only so many shots, right? So this is gonna be interesting how his legs are just gonna be conditioned throughout the whole year if he's actually gonna be able to hold up. I mean, they're definitely gonna be load managing him at some point too. So I don't know. I mean, I like the Warriors as a sleeper pick. I mean, but I'm worried about Clay, man. I hope he comes out great when he comes back around Christmas time. But nah, I don't know. I'm worried about him. We'll see.
That's the
But
thing, man. I that's why I'm kind of not sold on the Warriors just yet. I have to see it first. At least when with Phoenix, I already saw it. And teams benefit, like I said, off of circumstances. There could be circumstance where Devin Booker's not playing or where Chris Paul's not playing. It could happen to anybody. But the Warriors have a higher chance than most other teams because of Klay Thompson. If Klay Thompson is not there and he's not healthy, there's absolutely zero chance they make it out of the West.
we
They
agree on
need
that.
him.
Yeah.
So if he's healthy, if he's 100% healthy and he's Klay and he's doing like 3 dribbles, 40 points type Klay, then they're probably going to make it to the finals.
And I think
Most
we should
likely.
keep-
Hey,
I think we should keep our expectations low of Klay Thompson too, right?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Hey, guys, sorry to cut you off, but we got a segment on the Warriors. Don't worry, we'll have plenty of time to
Right,
talk
right,
about
right,
them.
right.
No, we
All
good,
right,
we good,
bet.
y'all good. But I just want to get to the chat real quick, and then before we move on, let's go to the chat, guys. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat. Ravens flock have been busy in the chat here. Honestly, if they get beat by anyone in the division, so we have diehard Bengals fans saying, "I'm just mad because the Ravens got beat by the Bengals because we got clapped." You know what? You're damn right I'm mad. You're damn right I'm mad because that was fixed. That game was fixed, all right? It was a fake. It was a fake game, rigged game, worst game. The Ravens won bigly, if I might add. We won bigly, all right? It was the most rigged game I've ever seen.
Oh
Diehard
man,
Bengals
you're a
fans.
funny guy, bro.
Yeah, my man says he still respects the Ravens, though. You know what? We don't respect the Bengals on this podcast, man. Fuck the Bengals. All right.
Hey, Joey B, I got your back, man. I got your back.
We also got Kawhi Leonard has managed to we'll find his way into this chat. What it do, baby?
Kawhi
He says,
Leonard.
what it do,
Welcome.
baby? Yeah, yeah, Kawhi.
Frank
How you?
analysis for some Rockets.
Yeah, the Rockets, man. Maybe Kawhi should have been playing with the Rockets. Probably would have had a better chance.
Damn.
Anyway, no. So keep the chats coming. Keep everything flowing. We love it. Hit that like button. Subscribe to our channel. Subscribe to HMO Podcast. All that jazz. Finally, mercifully, let's move on from the NBA to talk about the NBA and the Golden State Warriors. Lots to talk about with them. Guys, are the Golden State Warriors back? After, 2 very tough seasons without Klay Thompson, the Warriors are off to a hot start this season, winning their first 4 games, including an opening day win against the Los Angeles Lakers in a game in which their bench honestly absolutely cleaned house, dominated the Los Angeles Lakers. And, we've seen a lot of that. A lot of people are talking about the depth of this team and what they could possibly do. And so I wanted to pose the question to you guys. What is the ceiling for this year's Golden State Warriors team? Dro, let's start with you.
What's the ceiling for this team? I don't know, man. It's definitely not a championship or bust season. But the window is getting very, very small for the Warriors. If they want to do something, it's going to have to be in this year or next year. Other than that, I think guys are going to start going other places, and we're going to start seeing guys just getting old and regressing a little bit. Probably not Steph Curry. Steph Curry still has a lot of play left in him. But as far as this championship window with this team, they got to get something going, but it's not a championship or bust. At the same, I know it might sound kind of crazy, but I don't know, man. 4-0 is a good start. I don't think it's the same kind of 4-0 as the Bulls, though, to be honest with you, man. I'm more impressed with the Bulls 4-0 than the Warriors 4-0. It's still a good start. Their first one since they went. What happened last time they went 4-0? They won 20 more after that. They won 24 in a row to begin that legendary season that ended with LeBron winning the chip for Cleveland. But I don't know, Brooks, what do you think, man? What is the ceiling for the Golden State Warriors this year?
I say conference finals. I think they can make the conference finals realistically if, again, Steph Curry continues to play like the maniac he is. If Klay Thompson can come back and be like at least, I say 90% of what he was before he tore his ACL and Achilles. And we see something happen with Andrew Wiggins. Can he actually become that third superstar that everybody thought that he could be? I mean, Maple Jordan was supposed to be like that, and we see that he's really not that guy. So
nickname.
I love Maple Jordan. That's a great
nickname, bro.
That's a great nickname, bro. The Canadian Michael Jordan. That's tough. Think about the hype that this guy had coming out of high school. Like, this was a tough guy. And he showed his true colors.
And then the Cavs made the best decision in the world and got rid of his ass.
Maybe. I mean, you never know what could have happened if it was Kyrie, Kevin Love, and Andrew Wiggins.
Yeah, I know. Kyrie would have left.
That might have been a nice little.
Kyrie would have left anyway. Kyrie would have left anyway because he's like, man, Andrew Wiggins taking my shine. Bounced.
Maybe.
I truly believe without LeBron, I think Kyrie actually would have left sooner. So, that's. I don't think that team would have been together, and they needed to trade Andrew Wiggins in order to get Kevin Love. So I just think it was like kind of like fate for them to not ever it was fate. It was meant to be. I think it that way. But going back to the Golden State Warriors, guys, the Golden State Warriors, their entire season the success this season is going to be dictated by whether or not Klay Thompson comes back, one, healthy, and at least I want to say I'll be generous and say 75% of what he was before the injuries. I think a lot of people just expect Klay to come back. I'm like, no, this is like right now, like they're playing without Klay Thompson, and Klay Thompson, he's not played in a game since 2019, since he got injured in those finals. Like it has been a long time. So they're gonna obviously have to load manage him. You'll probably, like Brooks said, you'll probably see him get some play time in the like closer to Christmas, and then hopefully as they're hopefully playing well, he'll get put into the mix a little more. And if we see like spurts of that same Klay Thompson, I genuinely think that this is a team that is not only dangerous enough to get to the playoffs and win in the playoffs, but get to the playoffs and give the Lakers a run for their money. Because one thing we know about Steph, one thing we know about Klay, one thing we know about this Warriors team, Steve Kerr, they know how to play LeBron James. And granted, the teams that LeBron had in Cleveland were not as talented as the teams that he has in LA. But I still think that given their experience playing this guy, given the fact that, like, I think people forget Steph Curry was the MVP of the league. like, you know, a few years ago, people like to forget that. They just, like, write him off like, oh, he's old. I'm like, dude, look at his stats. He's a bucket. And if you get Klay Thompson somewhat, like, back to where he was or even close to that, combined with Steph Curry, combined with, you know, what Wiseman can do, combined with what Draymond already does and Wiggins, and the depth on this team, the bench on this team is so, like, great. I genuinely think this is a team that could give the Lakers a run for their money, and if they fuck around, make the finals, man, it might just be one of those seasons. How great would it be to see Klay Thompson, after 2 years of just brutal injuries, come back and hoist up that trophy? Like that would be an amazing visual. Like, obviously, it's not just that; it's about basketball too. But man, I got a lot of confidence in this team.
Yo, can I say something real quick, bro? The
Yeah.
layout of your show is fucking dope, bro. Like I was seeing it, but now I'm like really paying attention to it. That's dope, man. Like, yo, hey, y'all should hit the subscribe button. If you guys aren't already subscribed, just off the layout alone, like not even, you know, for the dope sports takes and shit, just off the layout alone, shit is dope. But anyways,
I see why people are saying that this is like being on First Take, man, because the graphics are like that, bro.
I appreciate
man.
that. I appreciate that.
That's crazy. But yeah, and on top of everything you just said, he also led the league in scoring last year. Steph Curry is proven. He has. I think the last thing that he really needs for his resume is that Finals MVP. He really needs to be the big dog. He needs to not need a Kevin Durant or somebody to come and save his ass. He needs to be the guy. With Klay Thompson, cool, but nobody else, man. Do not go out there and trade for a big, like if Luka, you know, I don't want to see none of that shit. Steph Curry needs to win the Finals MVP if he's gonna ever really, you know, prove himself as. He's already the greatest shooter of all time, but this will put him up there like
up in that like top like 10 category of elite of the elite. Yeah.
Like maybe somewhere in the top 10. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he's not right now, but he would be if he wins the Finals MVP.
Omer, I need you to say something about what Pedro just said, man. Because he said Steph Curry needs to be the top dog on a championship level team in order for
I was gonna say, y'all pay attention. I paid attention in 2014, 2015 when like that.
It was me that
I
said
paid
that.
close attention. My team lost that.
It wasn't me that said that because I know. We talked about this the other day too.
No.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is like from the aspect of just taking over the game, because he had good stats, but he was never taking over games. He probably took over game 4 of the year they won, the first year they won. He had like a 30 plus, but he wasn't really taking over games like that, bro. He had the nice stats. Some of them were garbage time stats. I just want to make that, you know, super clear. He never really dominated an entire series, right? Like, he probably should have won the Finals MVP when Iguodala got it, but Iguodala, I guess, you know,
he ain't. Go back.
They put him in the lineup, and what happened
he ain't
after
clamp
that? You know
LeBron
what I mean?
like that though. LeBron still went off in that series, like Grant, like and
you don't stop
considering
LeBron James.
Yeah, unless your name is Kirk Heinrich. Big shout out to Kirk Heinrich, by the way. My man, you know, his strategy to stopping LeBron James is the most effective of anyone I've ever seen. Just take fouls all game long. Punch him in the face. Yeah, elbow him in the chest. My man Kirk Heinrich, man, hey, say what you want. When the Bulls went up against the Heat back in like 2011, my man was not letting him go to the paint unharmed. Like he was like what's his name? I forgot his name, but I don't know. But yeah, he was out there like that. But yeah, um, yeah. So we'll see what happens.
Y'all
with the
gonna
Warriors.
tell me, bro? Can
What?
y'all really point to a series that Steph Curry dominated in the NBA Finals?
In the NBA Finals?
I'm talking about from an impact, not from a statistical standpoint, but also from just the way he impacted it. Because when they won the Kevin Durant ones, he was really the dominant one, and when they won the first one,
I watched these. I just want to say I watched those games with the KD series, like especially the one, the first. I think it was like the third year LeBron was in Cleveland. I don't remember what exactly. I think it was like 2017, the year after they won. Bro, Steph Curry was popping off in that series. Like I can't tell you. Like
2017 Finals, Steph Curry had one bad game, and that just so happened to be the game when KD hit that hezzy pull up over LeBron James, and that's when everybody was like, "Oh, he's the best player on the planet. Maybe he's better than LeBron James." But we literally forget. Steph Curry was step for step with him in production, step for step with him in domination. So again, it's not like we can't say he wasn't. If he's not one, he's 1A. You know,
bro,
2017 and 2018. And even in 2019, he was dominant too. Because he was step for step with Kawhi then too. He just was getting beat up a whole lot too. So
but hold on, but did he not need Kevin Durant by his side to finally have that kind of numbers in the NBA?
He didn't
have those numbers without
Kevin Durant because he was doing that in 2015.
But he didn't dominate that
KD
series. He had 26
like
points on like 40% field goal. He didn't dominate. He put up good numbers. He didn't dominate. LeBron dominated that series and lost. But Steph Curry did not dominate that series and won. I think that really I kind of agree with Iguodala. I've come around to agreeing with Iguodala winning that Finals MVP because once they put him in the lineup, the series changed. It went the way it was probably supposed to from the beginning because at first the Cavs are up 2-1.
What do you mean? What do you mean the way it was supposed to? Kyrie and Kevin Love were both out. They were both out the entire series, my guy.
After Kyrie,
Kelly Olynyk deliberately broke Kevin Love's arm. I witnessed that shit. And then Kyrie Irving just went off and said, "Oh, ow, my knee." And then we were going to lose that series. Everyone knew it. Like LeBron wasn't gonna will his love LeBron, but not with that supporting cast. He was not going to will that team to a chip.
No, I got you.
The biggest thing with that too is the fact that Dellavedova, his play dropped off finally because he had a great stretch when guarding Steph Curry and was like a freaking magician, second best player on that Cavs team. He falls off. That was really the biggest thing, as well as Andre Iguodala, quote unquote, shutting down LeBron James. I mean, if we're being real here too.
Yo, the argument that I'm trying to make is without Kyrie, without Kevin Love, the Cavs are basically guaranteed a finals loss. The fact that they're up 2-1 is crazy. And as soon as Iguodala gets in the starting lineup, it changes the whole series. So just off of the impact of that series, it goes to Iguodala because you had Steph Curry for 3 games and you lost 2 of them. Those are the games that you got to dominate.
We're not going to sit here and say that Iguodala's impact was greater than Steph Curry's impact for 2015 finals. We're not going to say that.
Why not?
We're not going to say that right
Why
now.
not? He won the finals MVP.
True.
Why not?
LeBron James literally gave Iguodala buckets in his sleep. He didn't shut him down. He didn't shut him down at all. Like he stopped him sometimes.
But here's the thing. LeBron dominated, but he dominated in a way where it was so inefficient where they ended up losing. That's not LeBron's fault. He still dominated that series way more than Steph Curry did. But at the end of the day, he got the W. He went in there and he limited him to 38% field goal. That counts for something. He may have got 30 plus whatever. And he was cooking. But any other player would have got like a 45%, 50%, way more efficient on their head top, bro. I'm trying to give that man his credit.
I'm gonna have to change the name of this show to Real Take Cap Talk after that one. My guy, look at this in the chat. Big Ticket just said, Steph averaged 26 and 5 in the first series. Like, bro, I just don't get. Here's the thing. I get it. Iguodala clamped LeBron. Whatever, right? Like he clamped LeBron. It was just like I'm just like I still to this day will never understand why he got that chip. Also, I think you guys are seeing the same thing in the chat that I saw. Remove that guy. But
Yeah. Hey, whenever you see shit like that, bro,
report it,
it's
please.
best. No. Report it. Chat should report it. But when we're on, don't even acknowledge people like that. Cause that's all they want is for us to be off our game. We don't get distracted by little grifty people on YouTube.
Absolutely, absolutely. But yeah, no, I'm interested to see what the Dubs can do. Really enjoyed this discussion about them. But let's move on, guys. If you haven't already, please hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. We had some interesting news from Enes Kanter this week. So Enes Kanter, the center for the Boston Celtics, called out Nike this week on social media for ignoring human rights violations by China. So let's take a listen to what he had to say.
Dear Nike, your company says that you are making a positive impact in our communities. And that is true. Yes, you are. Here in the United States, Nike stands with the Black Lives Matter. Nike stands with Stop Asian Hate. Nike stands with the Latino community. And Nike stands with the LGBTQ community. And Nike remains vocal about injustice here in America. But when it comes to China, Nike remains silent. You do not address police brutality in China. You do not speak about discrimination against the LGBTQ community. You do not say a word about the oppression of minorities in China. You are scared to speak up. Who makes your shoes in China? Do you even know? There are so many forced labor factories in China. For instance, Uyghur forced labor in modern day slavery, and it is happening right now in China. Millions of Uyghurs are currently detained, sold, and assigned to work at forced labor camps, prisons, and factories across the country. They are under constant surveillance, with long working hours and poor living conditions. They are subject to political re-education. They have no freedom of expression, no freedom of religion, and they are not even able to leave. Did you know that almost the entire apparel and footwear industry is tainted by Uyghur forced labor? Many well-known global brands are implicated, and yes, that includes one of the NBA's biggest sponsors, Nike. Nike claims that they do not allow any forced labor in their supply chains, yet they don't have the receipt to prove it. They have not publicly committed to cutting ties with the Chinese government's labor transfer scheme. They have not provided clear timelines or updates about their efforts to end this. They have not publicly committed to the steps outlined by the coalition to end Uyghur forced labor. Don't forget, every time you put those shoes on your feet or you put that t-shirt on your back, there are so many tears and so much oppression and so much blood behind it all. Nike likes to say, just do it. Well, what are you doing about the slave labor that makes your shoes? That slave labor that makes you rich? To the owner of Nike, Phil Knight, I have a message for you. How about I book a plane tickets for us? Let's fly to China together. We can try to visit these slave labor camps, and you can see it with your own eyes. LeBron James and Michael Jordan, you guys are welcome to come too. Nike must be a participant in this. Stop with hypocrisy. Stop the modern day slavery now.
Can't hear you.
Yeah.
There we go. There we go. So big words by Enes Kanter there,
Wow.
and obviously he did not mince words. He did not mince people's names when he mentioned them, and he called out everyone. He called out Nike. He even, to an extent, called out the NBA, LeBron James, Michael Jordan, and everyone associated with the brand. So my question to you guys is, after hearing that, is he right? And is it really hypocritical of companies like Nike to use this type of forced labor for their shoes? Brooks, why don't we start with you?
So yes, he's right in calling out Nike for, I mean, and this is like historical fact, the fact that they've always been practicing really bad labor things just with their workers, and in terms of just forcing them to do long hours, even child labor. I mean, and that in itself is one of the worst evils to inflict not only China but America at one point too. So yeah, I mean, they should definitely be called out. It's just if the NBA and Nike weren't going to succumb to pressure last year, they're not going to do it this year. With Enes Kanter saying anything too, I mean, Enes Kanter is really in the spotlight politically just because he's calling out Nike, he's calling out Kyrie for being unvaccinated. I mean, he's doing everything he can to just like be in a really good position, and this is after he got basically excommunicated, I guess you could say, from Turkey. Yeah. I mean, it's a whole lot going on, and I mean, kudos to him for exercising, I guess, his right to speech and all that. I don't know. It's a little above my head as far as just everything else going on, but yeah, he has a right to call him out because again, you shouldn't be. I mean, this is gonna get like a little philosophical.
No, please. Yeah, please go ahead.
Philosophical. There you go. Thanks for having my back, Pedro. I appreciate you.
I got you.
But like when you're a $1 billion corporation like that, you're of course gonna end up stepping on somebody's back to make sure you get all that money. And Nike isn't above anybody else, even if they do support Black lives, even if they do support the LGBT community, even if they do support Latino lives, all of that. They're not above anybody else. We see that every July, every company has a rainbow flag, and then as soon as August hits, the flag is gone. All the pro LGBT community messaging is gone too. So it's maybe like a flavor of the month thing. So
absolutely,
kudos again to him, and I hope that Nike does try to do something different. But I'm not holding my breath.
Yeah, Dro, what about you?
Enes Kanter, big salute to him for speaking his mind and not being afraid of what's to come, because I can only imagine the kind of messaging that he's getting after saying those things and mentioning the names that he mentioned. He has absolutely every right to say what he's feeling and to shine light on these situations. He's always been a guy who is outspoken. He's again, politically active, like Brooks said, and he knows what's going on. He understands that, people like him that are in the position that he's in terms of status and stuff like that, that they get taken advantage of, and that there's a lot more that goes into the things that we consume than we would imagine at first. Enes Kanter, definitely salute for speaking up. Like I said, just having the conviction to say what he said. And again, I think, he's not wrong about the things he's saying either. But I'm also not going to knock anybody for not speaking, on certain, it depends on who it is. Some people, it's, like there's certain players that don't have the same kind of pull or the same kind of influence on the masses, right? Where they could probably just go and hoop. The bigger guys, I can understand when, they get upset. Oh, LeBron didn't, talk about China, et cetera. I understand the criticism there. But
I think it comes.
It is what it is.
Yeah, I think it comes with kind of like knowing what's going on, and I think this is like the first step.
Having
of that.
A lot less to lose too.
Yeah. I mean, and just one thing I want to say about Enes Kanter and like what he's said here. There's a lot of pressure too. I think one thing that people kind of understate or don't talk about is like the pressure, that the NBA's relationship with China and everything, and Nike's relationship obviously with China. There's a lot of pressure for him not to say stuff like this. Like I think Pedro said, like he's probably going to get messages. He's probably going to get directives, possibly even from the NBA to, hey, tone it down. But one thing that Enes Kanter, is definitely not is afraid. We've found that out very much over the past number of years. And, the reason I kind of wanted to include this, because I know we do a lot of laughs on the show and all that kind of stuff, is because I think like there's a point where like, sports, and culture, society, all this stuff, it mixes. And I think, it's important for us to have that context when talking about like sports and, the things we enjoy, like Nike shoes. I love Nike shoes. I think we all love Nike shoes. And I think like if like we all like love the shoes, if we love the NBA, one thing that we should always be trying to do is how can we make what we love already better. And I think that's what Enes Kanter's point is. And there's a lot of people who are going to probably try to be like, oh, well, Enes Kanter, he's just out there for the clout, or he's just out there, to be provocative. And he's gotten a little bit of that criticism over the number of past few days. But, one thing I know specifically about this situation, Enes Kanter, is it's something that affects him directly because, if we're being real, like what China is doing to the Uyghur Muslim population over there, it's not great. Not only are they being put in forced labor camps, that's almost an ethnic genocide. I believe there is like actually some human rights organizations that have classified as that. And I think the overall messaging is from Enes Kanter, let's learn about what's going on. And like, let's see how we can make things better. And I think that's something in sports, in life, in culture, we always got to strive to be.
And
Go ahead, Brooks.
Go ahead, Pedro.
No, go. You got it.
Brooks,
I was just gonna say the fact that or it's just surprising again that Boston Celtics games got removed from Chinese broadcasts, and there isn't a wave of criticism from anybody as far as or like from I guess like Chinese media, like how dare they, how dare Enes Kanter say these rude things or these controversial things about our government, blah blah blah. And last year, they were up the Rockets' butt as far as what Daryl Morey said and what James Harden declined to say and what LeBron James declined to say. And I think it's because Enes Kanter is being very critical of China and then how they're treating Uyghur Muslims and all these different things. Like we believe and we know these things to be true. So it's interesting that they're not being as defensive as they were last year, and I don't know why that is, but it's very interesting.
It is interesting. Well, we also don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but hey, we'll keep up with Enes Kanter and all he's doing. But hey, good on you for speaking your mind. Good on you for speaking up, because there's injustices all around the world, and if we can do any little bit of our part to help out, I think that's what every person should always try to do. And education is always part of that, no matter what we're talking about. So good on him for doing that. Yep, guys, if you haven't already, please hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. We got a reply about your comments on the Warriors, by the way, Pedro.
Yeah.
The power. I love this. The power of sports narrative is that a guy can average 26 and 5 and get no credit for the finals. True.
Hey, big ticket man. I don't think you heard me. I said that he played well. He did not dominate that series. None of y'all have shown me any type of proof of him dominating the series. I'm yet to see it. I watched all the games. I went back and watched them again. He did not dominate the series from start to finish. LeBron still did, but Andre Iguodala had the impact in that series. That's all I'm gonna say. He said true courage is when you can speak truth to power, even when it can affect your own pockets. Good job, Enes Kanter. And if I could add on to that comment, we can go back to the Warriors thing if you want, but Enes Kanter is again not afraid of the consequences, including that financially, because he stands to lose or be potentially blackballed by the NBA for having these kind of viewpoints. We've seen it happen with what's the name from the 90s?
Abdul Rahim. Yeah.
Abdul Rahim. We saw it happen with him with the whole I believe it was the national anthem, similar situation to Colin Kaepernick.
Whoa, are you telling me that people were protesting the national anthem before 2015? What?
Crazy, right? Before it was cool. This guy was doing it back in the day. And you know what? He's still, to this day, he's still very he seems like politically active, and you know, he's well aware of what's going on, just as good now as it was back then. But yeah, man, kudos to Enes Kanter risking, you know, potential millions of dollars by saying these things to shine light on very important, untalked about situations. Healthy to have those kind of conversations.
Absolutely. Sports and politics have always mixed. Anyone who tells you otherwise doesn't know shit about sports. Anyway, let's move on, guys, to I wanted to say lighter things, but I don't even know if I can say that about this. Actually, hold up. Yeah, I don't know if I can say that. Mark Davis was in the news, and it was talking about the Washington football team, Pedro's favorite football team, the Washington football team.
Oh, hell no. Don't ever disrespect
favorite owner,
like that.
with his favorite owner.
Oh, my God.
Anyway, guys,
do we have a well? We can talk. Maybe we can talk about it off screen, but we got an interesting story about them too.
Okay, well, yeah. Hold that thought. We'll probably talk about that off screen. But anyway, so guys, interesting news today. Mark Davis, the owner of the Las Vegas Raiders, broke ranks with NFL owners Wednesday at the fall meetings by calling for the report on the Washington football team, which the NFL has been compiling through an investigation on their culture. He called for this report to be released to the public. Davis was asked if he felt signaled out or targeted in the investigation, and he said, quote, "We're the Raiders, we're used to it, and this is what our life is about, but it is disappointing. All the other owners have been either quiet or have said no." I believe, Brooks, you mentioned earlier that Jerry Jones came out and said that he doesn't think that this should come out. You know, so there's a lot of stuff going on here. Of course, the Washington football team, they were accused of, among many things, harassment, unsafe workplace environment for the cheerleaders and other female employees, and, you know, just good old-fashioned racism as well. So a lot to be talked about here. Guys, let's first just talk about Mark Davis's comments about, you know, him being signaled out and his franchise being signaled out and calling for the release of these documents in this investigation. Dro, what do you think about those comments?
Yo, I'm looking forward to seeing if the NFL is ever really going to drop this full investigation, because are you really telling me out of all these emails and everybody that they looked through, the only one that was saying something wrong was John Gruden? Really? Come on, bro. I'm not buying that shit, man. I think that, you know, so Mark Davis, what he was saying, they wanted to, on just Washington football team, they should drop it for the whole entire league. Every single piece of evidence that exists should come out. But the reason it doesn't is because it's a culture amongst NFL owners. So it seems, that regardless of having majority African-American players on their team, there is still a little hint of racism, or maybe a hint of racism amongst the culture of NFL owners. And they try to make it up for little shit like putting end racism on the field and stuff that just shows you even further that they don't care and that they're just trying to capitalize Black Lives Matter, you name it. Anything that has a dollar sign on it, they're for it. So, and that includes being racist, being misogynistic, being any istic, obic, whatever you could think of in the book. As long as it makes them money, they'll survive anything as far as PR crisis at this point. They just scrub the internet of shit. That's why people like Dan Snyder don't get outed, a la something that happened with us. I think we could probably talk about it on the show. We don't have to, but I'm pretty sure we can at this point. But, you know, we just had some troubles, you know, posting videos about certain NFL owners. If I won't say any names, but certain NFL owners sent us these cease and desist over YouTube videos that we put out. Certain NFL owners that we won't mention names for legal purposes. So that's how you know these guys are guilty as fuck. They're looking up their own name. Their lawyers are trying to clear their trying to regain their clean image and all this. It's so wrong, man. And the only guy that gets hit, now you got the scapegoat. You got the fall guy here, John Gruden. He's the guy. You know why he's the only guy? Because he was talking about Roger Goodell. You got on the bad list, sir. So you are going to be the only guy, and we're all just going to pile it on you. And everyone else deletes everything scot-free.
And you know what else? Just to add to your point there, Joe, You know what else? It's also the thing of what John Gruden said was probably one of like the most like outwardly worst things that were probably said in these emails. Like there's a lot of like there's a lot of like things you can kind of infer about, with racism and stuff. But he was also just an easy target because people already had like feelings about him. The NFL never really liked them. They never really liked the Raiders. So it was an easy thing. And that's not absolving John Gruden at all. John Gruden's not innocent in this. John Gruden isn't a victim in this. He got exactly what he deserved. The point is, everyone who like enabled this culture, everyone who, helped it build up and is involved in it, needs to also be held accountable for their role in it. And I think, that's why I believe Mark Davis is kind of correct in calling for this, but for the wrong reasons, if that makes sense. Because he kind of wants it for, his to kind of like get back at the NFL for his thing, which, okay, if that's your justification, I don't agree with it. But the end result, I think we can agree, and that's where that comes in. So I think I speak for everyone. Brooks, I'll give you your time to speak, absolutely. But I just think that you got to release this stuff. You have to release this stuff because it's a day of reckoning that's just been delayed. That and we just got to get to it. Like I want to know. We need to know. Man. We got to know. So Brooks, please.
I agree, man. I agree, man. I mean, it's sad, man. It's sad when Mark Davis, the ginger dude, has to be the voice of reason here. I mean, this was an investigation about Washington last year. So we know that there's some bad things going on as far as emails go. We know what they did to these cheerleaders, literally emailing, those swimsuit photos and just doing the absolute most, just literally horn dogging over these cheerleaders, like, and it's like some high school stuff, man, like literally fawning over these women and being like, oh, blah, 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 just typing out creepy messages and all that. It's a high school environment over there, and that's what I think it is, and they should be exposed. And anybody else in the organization and the league, I should say, should be exposed as well, because that needs to be just like not a thing at all. I mean, we're in 2021, 21st century, and we're coming into a time in life or time in just history where we're trying to do better for women. And that's how you start. And we're trying to do better for LGBTQ folks. We're trying to do better for people of color, Black people, all these things. John Gruden, again, he is a scapegoat because he said something bad about Roger Goodell. And he said something bad about DeMaurice Smith. And he was calling, Roger Goodell, and all these other people the F word and all these different things. Like he justifiably got his comeuppance. But so should Dan Snyder. Because again, like Pedro said, man, we had a guest come on. He said some very controversial things, and we got a video. We got a cease and desist because it was some true things, I think, and he didn't like that, and he didn't want that out there. So, Dan Snyder should get the Donald Sterling treatment if everything is true, and he shouldn't be an owner. Again, Pedro, what were those numbers that you said about his win-loss record? It was like what, 157.
So, damn. So we said his name. It's all good.
Yeah, F it. I don't care.
But it's 151 and 207 with a tie. So
yeah, I mean,
he's losing way more games than he's winning.
This is literally a franchise that had the proudest tradition before Dan Snyder came around, and now we're the laughingstock of the league. We've had some good years every now and then, but then you tarnish a man's legacy in Sean Taylor by rushing his jersey retirement, and it just seemed like a half-assed thing, and that's not fair to him, and it's not fair to his family. It's not fair to his legacy. And again, I just shame on him because why do it if you're not going to do it correctly?
Yo, if I could just
why be an owner if you're not going to do it correctly? And I hope he's gone. I want him to be gone because it's too much. I don't need to see it anymore as a Washington fan.
If I can add on to that before we get off this topic real quick, the Washington football team is the prime example of how not to run a franchise and why they will never be good until the owner of the team sells them. He's been the owner for now almost 20 years or more than 20. He's been there for a minute. He's been there for a good fat fucking minute, way too long. The stadium is not new. It's dirty. I don't like going there all that much.
Not a good experience.
It's not in DC. It's not in DC.
It's not in DC. It's not in DC. And on top of that, you got pipes. You got basically sewage spilling on fans in the stands. You got, the mega jumbotrons. They don't even fully work. Some of the screens are broken.
The upper deck of the entire upper deck of the stadium is tarped off. Like if you go to the stadium or if you look it up, you'll see like the Washington football like banners and stuff like covering it. Like no, those are seats that are being covered, like thousands of seats because they know they're never gonna sell out. Like,
and not only that, on top of everything we already mentioned, you got what's going inside what's going on inside the organization with all the pictures and the allegations and stuff that are going around. Just to cap everything all off, this is my theory. I think that the Washington organization saw Jackson Mahomes and said, you know what? Come here, kid. Stand here.
Would not even be surprised. Would not even
stand
be
here
surprised.
and do your dance. You know why? Because they're toxic. And I'm not even saying, I hate toxic shit. Toxic shit is no good. So that right there is a perfect example of why it's just a culture that's there. Dan Snyder built that, and that's what it is. And it'll never be. Look at what happened with John Gruden's brother. Like, bro, it's embarrassing, man. The Gruden name is just tarnished, bro, forever.
It is a continued cycle.
It's never going to change, bro.
I'm sorry, Omar. This is
never going to change.
Please continue.
This is the last thing I want to say about it because. Again, I am a very, very aggrieved Washington fan. I literally went away for like 3 seasons because of how they treated Trent Williams, allowing him to walk around for a couple seasons with a tumor in his head that turned out to be cancerous. And just from personal history, like I'm not gonna be okay with that just because of, again, family history and what I've had to see and deal with. You know what I mean? But be that as it may, I mean, again, Dan Snyder shouldn't even be an owner of a team. Because he literally, he basically just like gambled with money. He was like, "Yo, I can build a stadium here." Jack Kent Cook, the owner of the son of the last owner, was like, "Oh, I need to get the money together, but I can do it." And they were just like, "Yeah, you know what? We're gonna give this team to Dan Snyder because he's got the idea for an idea for a stadium." And it's like, I don't know, I don't get it. I have no good things to say about the man. He got over the hill guys like Albert Hainsworth there, who basically just like washed away money. He wasn't even in shape for half his career at Washington. He ruined RG3, gave him a big fat ego. I mean, it's a whole list of things, and those are just like the top 3 things that I can think of that it just disqualifies him. I don't like Jerry Jones, but if I had to pick an owner for a franchise, I'd honestly rather have Jerry Jones.
Jerry Jones will at least market the hell out of your team, and your team will be talked about, and he'll build
Jerry Jones
in the regular season.
Great.
He'll build a team on paper. He can build a team on paper. The team won't win any playoff games
right now.
But and I just want to say that, like, you guys mentioned, like, there's some things like, Dan Snyder's very sensitive about. Here's things that are true about Dan Snyder. If we really want to get into it, Dan Snyder, all right. When did he buy the Washington football team? I just want to get that. It's like 99.
In 1998, I believe.
Okay, there.
1999. He bought it.
Since the year 1999, you know how many playoff wins the Washington football team has? Less playoff wins than the Baltimore Ravens have world championships, Super Bowl championships. You want to know something else about Dan Snyder's rule? Not only did he keep the name, the term Redskin as the name of that team after multiple large Native American organizations kept coming up to him and being like, "Hey, this is not cool," and we've tried to educate you multiple times about it. He not only did he pay people to try to come out and defend that name, but eventually, after he was forced to rename it, This whole thing came out about how
Got salty about it too.
He was salty about it too. But you know what? You know what he wasn't salty about? He wasn't salty about that statue of the racist owner who founded the Washington football team, George Preston Marshall, the same guy who named the team that term, the same guy who was the you guys know this. Washington football team was the last team in the NFL to desegregate because of George Preston Marshall. There was a statue of that man up in the stadium that Dan Snyder kept there, and the Washington football team kept there up until just a few years ago. So you want to tell me?
Man. He's very.
You want to tell me? Look, is Dan Snyder a racist? I don't know. You guys look at the facts. You tell me. I don't know. But
Can I?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
I just want one last point, and I don't want to spend too much of my good energy, man. You know,
Dan's fucking.
I don't like this. I don't like to put my energy into negative things like this team and like this franchise. But it needs to be known that this franchise will never ever be good until he sells the team again, because of the culture that's created. All it really is a bunch of rich white guys just having a blast. You know what I mean? Like, they hire their friends. They don't hire anyone that's competent to make football decisions. No, the coaches, Rivera is probably one of the better coaches that they've had in a while, but still the upper echelon of the higher ups in Washington are all still the same. The owner's the same. They just have the money. You know, he bought the team for $800 million. They're worth $4.2 billion. So he could do whatever he wants. He doesn't care. He doesn't have to sell the team. He barely had to change the name. Only until he lost a couple of millions of dollars is when he's like, okay, let me at least just get rid of the name. We don't have to change it yet. So it's a culture it's not going to change, bro. Like, I don't care what player they draft. I don't care who they trade for. I don't care who's hot. I don't care who's their coach. Until he sells the team, they will never be good. Revisit this video in 30 years if he still owns the team by then.
Oh my God, 30 years, my God. Poor Brooks. I feel so bad for my man. My man's just gonna be like, yeah, so how about them Ravens? My man's like, I look good in purple.
They'll have like 4 more chips by then.
I'll be 56 years old. Still never seen the Washington football team ever go to Super Bowl.
Win a damn playoff game.
I used to think Cleveland Browns was bad. Washington football team, that's a joke, bro. That's an absolute joke.
Hey, you want to know what else is a joke?
How would you describe the culture surrounding this football team?
You know, the culture is actually damn good.
That was GM Bruce Allen just a few years ago when asked about the culture of the Washington football team.
Yo, play that back. Play that fucking back.
Oh my God.
Time.
For those of you who don't know, this is like literally a thing that happened. It was right after Jay Gruden got fired. Jay Gruden got fired, and this was a press conference with Bruce Allen, who's, by the way, is being investigated by the NFL for a lot of shitty stuff. And he was asked about the culture of the team, and this was his response.
How would you describe the culture surrounding this football team?
You know, the culture is actually damn good.
How would you?
I love the fact that he's like saying this as if he's telling people something they don't already know. Like, hey, you might be surprised by this, but the culture is actually damn good. Oh, and then
meanwhile, they're emailing pictures of inappropriately of women and these we literally don't have a cheerleading squad anymore because you guys are freaking perverts and you can't.
Bro, they literally hire these women to do a job, and they are beating their meat to the pictures of these poor women, man, that are not consenting to this shit.
Allegedly.
Sorry, allegedly.
We don't want to get Omar in trouble for what we're saying.
Give me that Jesus and Mero treatment. Allegedly.
Sure, yes.
Allegedly.
Anyway, guys, enough of the negativity. We've had enough of that. Let's go with some the power of positivity, like the New Day like to say in WWE. And if you guys are all about the power of positivity, please hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever new videos release. Also, be sure to check out HMO Podcast. Link is in the description below. YouTube.com/HMO. Anyway, let's move on and talk about the Thursday night football matchup between two of the NFC's biggest teams, two juggernauts, you might say, in the NFC. You got the Arizona Cardinals taking on Aaron Rodgers and
Astros are up though. Astros are still up.
Oh,
I'm sorry, bro.
You good?
Go
No,
ahead.
you good. You good. You good. No, you good. You good. So the Arizona Cardinals and Kyler Murray are going to be taking on Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers live on Thursday Night Football on Thursday, and it's just going to be a huge clash of a 6-1 team in the Packers and a 7-0 undefeated team in the Arizona Cardinals, and it's going to be, I think, a big test for the Cardinals. Guys, what's your preview for this? And what do you think is going to happen? Like, who has the edge in this matchup? Joe, let's start with you.
Believe it or not, I think I'm going to take Pac Show in this one. And I say this because even without Devontae Adams, who's going to be missing this game because he caught COVID, and I guess he hasn't sent back any negative tests in time for this game, so he won't be playing. It looks like his stats without Adams have been pretty good. He's actually thrown 15 touchdowns and 0 interceptions since he's had Adams as a teammate and he hasn't been on the field. So that combined with a Thursday game, short week, Kyler Murray is a younger quarterback than Aaron Rodgers. So I think experience plays big on Thursday night on a short week. Aaron Rodgers has done it more times than Kyler Murray. It's an evenly matched offensive matchup. But if the Packers defense can't capitalize on the fact that this is a short week and that the offense in Arizona could potentially be slower, it could be a shootout, but I'm going to take the Packers, assuming that their defense will be at least a little bit competent on Thursday Night Football.
Brooks, what about you? Who you got in this game?
I'm a big Aaron Rodgers fan. That's a bad man right there. But I'm gonna have to go the opposite way, man. Even with the news of JJ Watt being out for the year with that shoulder injury, I still got big confidence in Black Yoda, Kyler Murray, D Hopkins, literally my saving grace as a fantasy football team owner, team manager, whatever you want to call it. I mean, that connection right there is amazing. This Cardinals team is literally, if they're not the best in the NFC, they're one of the best teams in the NFC. I think they continue to roll that momentum. I think they get a big victory over the Packers, sans sans Devontae Adams.
Man, you just mentioned him right there, and you guys both made a lot of good points there, but you got it. You got to roll with the Cardinals. You got to roll with the Cardinals. I love what Aaron Rodgers is doing. Yes, he is a bad man, but you know who's the baddest man on either side of the football field, especially on Thursday? It's going to be that wide receiver whose name is D Hop, wearing number 10. He can catch anything, and you know what? This season, we haven't even seen DeAndre Hopkins really go off. He's had some very good games, but he hasn't had that one game where you're just like, oh, that's why he's one of, if not the best receiver in the entire league. I personally think he's the best. DeAndre Hopkins makes some amazing catches, and I think this is a prime opportunity for them to just get him the ball in any situation at all. Like the Packers defense, they played well in certain instances, but this is the same team that allowed a lot of points to Detroit. This is the same team that got exposed against the Saints, who, all respect to Sean Payton, Jameis Winston and company, and Alvin Kamara, but they're not a juggernaut offensively. So the Packers have, I think, for a very long time relied on Aaron Rodgers, and that's the old trope about them in the playoffs, obviously, as well. But I think when they're going up against an offense that is this good, they got to show up on defense, and they got to find a way to stop somehow D-Hop, AJ Green, who's playing very well this year, and Kyler Murray, who is like just an insane football player to try to defend. He's in a lot of ways different, kind of like Lamar Jackson. I think but like that's the only real comparison you can make as far as like the direct impact he makes on a game. But there's too much for the Cardinals in working in their favor for me not to take them. I think this Packers defense is going to get exposed on Thursday night.
Hey, man, it's going to be a good matchup. I'll tell you that much. But I think the Cardinals are definitely due for an L. Like, they're not going to go 17-0. And I think this is a very good opportunity. If they win this game, they're going to be the team to beat at least looking to, like at the playoffs, they're probably going to be the team to watch out for. But like I said, don't count out Aaron Rodgers. Experience is going to play big. It always does in these kind of short week games. You really start to see who's mentally super tough regular season wise. I don't even think Thursday night football is stupid, by the way. I think it shouldn't even be a thing. These guys are like 70% healed from the previous game they just played, which is why I think a guy like Aaron Rodgers can take advantage of that, where he can get those, maybe those quick little free plays and throwing some people off. But like we said before, defensively, that's really the only question mark. It's always been for Aaron Rodgers. He's had shitty defenses time and time again. So it all comes down to who scores more points.
Absolutely. Just last question, wrap up this topic. Do you guys think the Cardinals have what it takes to run the table? And, can they really keep up with what a lot of people expect of them and the expectations that are set for them now? Brooks, why don't you start us off?
No.
Okay.
I don't think they're going to go 17-0.
I was about to be like, no. Done. Yeah.
Bro,
I mean,
16-0 is hard. 17-0 is damn near impossible. Nah. Cardinals, they're special, but they're not that special. They're not gonna go 17-0. Just period.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. No. The thing about the Cardinals, man, I need to see it for a whole playoff. I need to see them dominate. I need to see them dominate the rest of the season and then start doing it in the playoffs. I'm not really, because the Steelers started 11-0 last year, and look what happened with them. I'm not buying into but let me make this clear though. These Cardinals are better than last year's Steelers, 100%.
Oh, absolutely.
But I'm still not sold on them. I'm going to take probably some more experienced teams before I go with the Cardinals.
In the regular season, this team can go, 15-2. This team can go 14-3, whatever. Like, they're going to have an amazing record by the time it's all said and done. But one thing I know as a Ravens fan, just because your record in the regular season is great and you win like a hell of games in a row, it does not translate directly to playoff success. It's a young team. Get there and let's see what they can do. I hope they go do well, but I'm interested. I'm not going to believe them I'm not going to say they're not a Super Bowl contender, but I'm not going to go out and say that they are a top contender until we see what they can do in the playoffs.
What last thing before we get off this topic? Please. Kyler Murray, the last quarterback his size to win a Super Bowl, I believe at his height, I believe was Russell Wilson. So it's been some time since we've seen a short QB really take the cake. So correct me on that if I'm wrong, anybody, because Russell Wilson is like 6 foot, 6'1".
Kyler Murray is 5'10".
5'10". And how tall is Kyler Murray? He's like
I think he's like 5'9", 5'10", something like that. Like,
so we haven't seen a small quarterback really pull it off, and
Shout
since Wilson.
Shout out to the short game, man. The heightism, all right, the heightism.
Not to say he's not talented either.
I'm not saying that to you. I'm saying the heightism that has existed in the NFL that robbed Doug Flutie from a Hall of Fame career. All right, that made Russell Wilson a 3rd round pick. That made people question whether Kyler Murray was going to pick football over baseball. Like, it is, man. If you can throw the rock, you can throw the rock. I think we've figured that out by now. I hope we figured that out by now. But people are still gonna find a way to be like, oh well. Oh, look at that kid. He can throw the ball. Let's make him a running back. Let's make him a wide receiver. Like, my God, these experts, I swear to God, I'm sick of them. Fire them too. Right? Anyway, guys, let me know what you guys think of the experts in the chat. Ask us questions. Let us know what you guys think about anything we're talking about. Hit that like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Guys, let's move on and talk about some lighthearted news, at least for me. So there was a trade this week, and not the one that we were expecting. No, Deshaun Watson has not moved yet. But there was a trade for a Super Bowl MVP quarterback, and his name is Joe motherfucking Flacco. Joe Flacco got traded to the New York Jets. after spending literally a cup of coffee with the Philadelphia Eagles. They traded him for a 6th-round pick after Zach Wilson got injured. And now this move leaves the Eagles with only 2 quarterbacks on their depth chart right now. The Eagles right now are not really a good football team. Right now, their quarterbacks are number 1, Jalen Hurts, number 2, the baddest man on the planet, Gardner Flint Minshew II. And this is bringing up some interesting questions with this trade. I have to ask you guys a question because of this situation. What does, this mean now for Jalen Hurts? Do you guys think that there's potentially a shorter leash now because Minshew has now been elevated? Les Flacco was never really going to take the job away from him, or they were never really going to go to Flacco because they traded for Minshew. But what do you guys think about how this dynamic is going to play out as the rest of the season, and if the Eagles keep losing? Brooks, let's start with you.
No, I do not think Gardner Minshew is a threat to Jalen Hurts. Let's not forget Gardner Minshew just fielded a team, was quarterback of a team that had the number 1 overall pick last year, the Jaguars, and they drafted his replacement in Trevor Lawrence. Gardner Minshew has his moments, but he's not better than Jalen Hurts right now. I just don't think that's gonna happen. I don't think there's gonna be any type of controversy. And again, this is his 9th start as an NFL player ever going into this week. Give him some time, man. I mean, not even Donovan McNabb was great coming out the gates as a starter, and he was able to lead them to multiple NFC Championship appearances, a Super Bowl appearance. I'm not gonna count out Jalen Hurts this early on as a starter, and that's somebody else. That's my backup fantasy quarterback. So who am I to say, nah, he can't do it? I think he can.
Hey, Brooks, man, I think you're underestimating the situation a little bit, man, because they are definitely putting him on a shorter leash. I'm not saying necessarily that Gardner Minshew is better, but I think that Jalen Hurts' position as the starting quarterback is definitely it's up in the air. He could lose it potentially this season if he can't start producing some wins. That's not even to say that Gardner Minshew is better. Maybe the team might be thinking already, because if they trade away Flacco and they keep Minshew, and they just got Minshew not too long ago either, I think they might be trying to work something out to get Jalen Hurts out of town. It could potentially be something like that. I personally think Jalen Hurts is the better quarterback. He should play, but we've seen it before where guys who are clearly better had to see bench because the team didn't have that kind of vision. And another team ended up taking a guy, I guess, for example, you could look at the situation with Tua last year. I don't know if y'all might agree with this, but he was better than Fitzpatrick, and he should have started last year. But he didn't, and we saw the turmoil that went on in Miami, and it was just a mess. I see a similar situation in Philly where Jalen Hurts should be playing, but they're putting him on this leash now. The Flacco to the Jets thing, it just goes to show that there is something going on. They didn't get Gardner Minshew for no reason.
I want to be very clear with the point I'm going to make, because obviously neither of you guys have watched this show enough to know the level of respect to give Gardner Minshew on this show. This is a Minshew friendly program. I just want that to be known. But
is that like a running joke? I heard someone else talking about this too.
Give me 15 seconds. It ain't no joke. Anyway, but I want to be very clear about this. Jalen Hurts, I got a lot of respect for him. He's been put in an impossible situation over the past 2 seasons, being the starter on that team and trying to, will them to victory. He's shown a lot of poise, which is, I think, the best thing that young quarterbacks can show. That being said, the second best quarterback in the NFC East is on the Eagles roster, and his name is Gardner Flint Minshew, the
He
second.
got nice stats, though.
My G, 37 touchdowns to 11 picks, over 5,000 yards in 20 starts, 7-13 as a starter, swagger over 9,000 on some Vegeta shit. People were saying in the preseason, well, Minshew doesn't look right. He changed his look. He looks different. You're goddamn right he changed his look because he saved his mustache, you idiot, on some Vegeta shit as well. Gardner Minshew, guys, let me tell you, this guy is... He much like Jalen Hurts was put into an impossible situation his rookie year, dealing with a Jacksonville Jaguars team that had regressed immensely, that had just traded Jalen Ramsey, that was getting rid of seemingly everybody every single week. And you know what he did? Being a sixth-round rookie quarterback, he went 6-6, threw 21 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, outplayed Kyler Murray in his rookie year. Go look at the stats. Go look at the games. It's true. And he came back the next year. The team got worse, and so did Minshew. It happens. But I think that if we're talking about a quarterback who can operate this offense, who, I think who has the experience to kind of lead this team and not necessarily make mistakes, I think Minshew probably gives them the better odd in that. Because I think it's not the problem of Jalen Hurts. I just think that team is not going to give him the best situation to succeed. It's not going to put him in the best situation to succeed. I would much rather see Jalen Hurts go literally anywhere else than Philadelphia. Also, I just know that Minshew will give them a better chance to succeed. I think they'll use the running game more because right now I'm sensing that they're feeling pressured to use Jalen Hurts, and pass the ball with him and do all these different things with him more often, and that's kind of hurting the balance of their offense.
Why do you say that?
Because he's throwing the ball nearly 30, 40 times a game now. I don't like that. I think he's a young guy. You need to have a better running game. You need to get the run game more involved because at times guys can go watch the Tampa Bay game. I think is a good example. They kind of basically gave up on the running game after halftime. So I think they need to find a way to incorporate these things better. Look, the biggest problem with the whole situation in Philadelphia, I think we all agree, it's not Jalen Hurts. The biggest problem is the coaching. The biggest problem is the game plan. It's bad. But if we're talking about someone who I think can overcome that bad coaching the most, given his experience, given his, given the fact that he doesn't make mistakes, given the fact that he can will teams to win, I think it's Gardner Minshew. And there's an argument to be made about Jalen Hurts and what a market for him might be because the way the Eagles are looking right now, I don't think that they're going to be having a top 3, top 4 pick this year, and it's possible that they're going to move on from Hurts. And I think that's where the cards are going to lie. That's no indication. That it's just the truth, though. That's the way the NFL works, and for better or worse. And honestly, if we're all fans of Jalen Hurts here, we can all agree it's probably for the best for Jalen Hurts if he moved on to any other situation because this team is a dumpster fire. This is the same team that ruined Carson Wentz. It's the same team that is in the process of ruining Jalen Hurts at the genesis of his career, and no one wants to see that.
Did the Eagles ruin Carson Wentz or did Carson Wentz ruin Carson Wentz?
Oh, the Eagles definitely ruined Carson Wentz. Yes, 100%. It's not even a question.
Bro, hey Brooks, did you not see what happened though? He was cooking. He was cooking with
but then
Philly.
He got hurt. He did get hurt though.
Yeah, no.
So how would he be at fault in this situation and not Philadelphia?
I'm not saying I believe that. I'm just asking, did Carson Wentz?
Yeah. Carson Wentz did. Okay, yeah. Did he fall into some bad habits? Yes, he absolutely did. And he kept those bad habits now that he's with the Colts. Fighting for extra yardage on first down plays when he doesn't need to. But a lot of that happened because of the fact that the Eagles didn't have any roster around him. Even Tom Brady, as great as he is, even Patrick Mahomes, as great as he is, at the end of the day, you need some blocking. You need someone to get the ball to. And Carson Wentz, I think he's in a weird place in his career because of, a lot of those bad habits he got in Philly. But to say that it's like all on him, the fact that like, his career went the way it is, I watching those games, you just can't say that because the offensive line was crumbling around him. He was forced to run most of the time to gain any yardage, and he felt like he needed to at times. And and once you're like you got that deer in the headlights kind of look, it's a weird thing. You get into the habit of like, being trigger happy, and then you run the ball too much and you throw it away too much, and that's the whole thing about ruining a young quarterback's confidence. And that's, again, what I'm noticing about Jalen Hurts that I don't like, which is why I think possibly getting traded away from Philly could be a great thing, because this team is not anywhere close to being like, a functioning football team, within the next 1 to 2 years.
Is that why you got your mustache like that? Because of Minshew?
I mean, no, it's mostly because I did a Borat Halloween party last night right here on the channel, Real Take Wrestle Talk. By the way, every Tuesday.
That's like all you're missing is the mullet, bro, and then you're Gardner Minshew yourself, man.
Amen. Porn stash Minshew. He's the trendsetter. But hey, all love to Jalen Hurts, all love to Gardner Minshew. I think we all hope that they both succeed, because there are some very talented young kings in this league.
Man, for sure. One last point real quick.
Please.
Like you said, all that matters is the fit. It doesn't really matter who we think is better. If Gardner Minshew gets it, I think he could potentially be a better fit than Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts in Philly just looking like it's not going to work. He could be successful. I just don't see it happening in Philly.
Yeah, and I think he would also kind of serve as that transitional role, even though I think he deserves to be a starter somewhere. I just think of him in Philadelphia as more of a transitional role, especially considering the way their season's gone. They ain't winning shit. If I'm the Eagles, man, where's I'm who I'm trading for? I'm trading for whatever that jabroni's name is on the Jets, who what's his name, like Mike White or whatever, like the backup quarterback. I'm trading for that man. I'm putting him in, being like, buddy, trial by fire. Like, we are not winning this season, and we are going to guarantee it. Every terrible team needs their Deshaun Kaiser. Big shout out to Deshaun Kaiser.
Deshaun Kaiser,
absolutely ruined him. Absolutely ruined him, man. Fuck the Browns.
What a throwback.
It's another reason to hate the Browns. But hey, Deshaun Kaiser, if you're listening, there's a podcast. There's a seat right here waiting for you. We would love to hear your story, King. Anyway, guys, let's move on and talk about, I believe this is our final official topic for the day, and then we can just kind of shoot the shit if we want or whatever. But, guys, I'm smelling a little something. You guys smell that? I'm smelling a little quarterback controversy. Ooh, I'm smelling a little quarterback controversy up in the Bay Area. So I think it's enough for us to talk about it. So there could be a quarterback controversy in San Francisco after Jimmy G and the 49ers are off to a 2-4 start. Jimmy G hasn't necessarily played bad, but he hasn't really played too well, disappointingly, for me. And they drafted Trey Lance 3rd overall. Anytime there's a young quarterback, there's always going to be calls for possibly him to step up into that situation. We saw him start a game, and he showed some poise. Again, good thing for a young quarterback. But what do you guys think of this? Given where the 49ers are, given that they played relatively well, their defense has. Do you think it's time to make the switch to Trey Lance full time? Joe, why don't you go?
At some point, you got to. I mean, it goes back to that Miami situation that I mentioned in our previous topic. Just let the man play. Either let him play or don't let him play. It's because they have this whole thing where sometimes both of them play in the same game. So that you're never going to really build a chemistry with one unit that way. And it's just sloppy by Kyle Shanahan and them. I think it's about time that they make a change there. And they really need to look at replacing Shanahan and maybe, I don't know, at some point trading Jimmy G and just giving Trey Lance a chance because they drafted him 3rd overall. Don't waste that draft spot. Don't let him turn into another one of these top 5 busts. It's going to be such a waste. They have a generational talent in Bosa on defense. So they're always going to be competent on defense, but It's strange, man. You don't really see that too often. Such a great defensive team be so bad offensively. It's like the exact. It's like I can't even put it into words, man. They just need to look at Kyle Shanahan, who's been having a poor go at things ever since he's been in San Francisco. That Super Bowl in Atlanta when they choked really, I think, changed that man. And he's starting to bring, again, the word of the night, culture. The word of the night is culture. And he's bringing this choking type of culture to the 49ers. And, I think Jimmy G is still a formidable quarterback. He's throwing 1,000 yards, 65% completion. It's not terrible, but the efficiency is not there. He's not putting up points. And you can't blame him when you have two guys playing at once, and Trey Lance isn't going to live up to his potential, knowing that he'll get benched after 2-3 drives. So give one guy a full chance. In my opinion, give Trey Lance the chance at this point, because Jimmy G is starting to look like an injury-prone guy. Just move on from this and fire Shanahan at some point too. That's the real 49ers QB situation, in my opinion.
Interesting. Brooks, what about you? What do you think?
Man, I mean, Pedro just said it. You got to give one of these guys a chance. All you're doing is really just hurting both guys' confidence. All you're doing is really putting, sowing seeds of doubt and seeds of disconfidence in each other. Like, you got to, if you're going to pick one and do that as soon as possible, because you don't want to ruin both your quarterbacks so early into the season. I mean, and I feel bad for Jimmy G, man, because at one point Jimmy G was supposed to be the one after Tom Brady. Tom Brady ends up politicking. Man. He ends up getting rid of his backup quarterback because he doesn't like that pressure on him. Jimmy G's a 49er now. He's into a Super Bowl. We're all thinking, wow, this guy, maybe the Patriots should have kept him. And he ends up choking in the playoffs. He ends up, completely missing on somebody for a potential game-winning touchdown. I mean, and ever since then, he's been playing scary, and he hasn't scary. What's the saying? Scary money don't make any money. Jimmy G is beginning to personify that for real. And I liked him. I want him to do well, but it doesn't seem like he's a solution for this team. It doesn't seem like he's playing all the way confident in himself like we all thought he could be. Because at one point, again, he's supposed to be the successor to Tom Brady, and now he's kind of just on the wayside. I think Trey Lance is obviously maybe the more naturally talented guy, but is he fully ready to make an NFL transition and be that full-time starter? I don't know. He only played, he played a full season, and he played 13 games in his whole career as a college quarterback. It's a lot of raw material to work with. And I think he's going to have a great career if he ends up developing right. I don't know if Kyle Shanahan has got to do that. But yeah, Trey Lance definitely has a lot to prove, and I think he can be a good guy. I think he should be the starter moving forward, and Jimmy G just needs to cut his losses and go somewhere else.
Yeah. So I agree with a lot of what both of you just said. I'm gonna start with kind of like I guess a little bit of a anecdote or a comparison. In 2018, when the Ravens drafted Lamar Jackson, I think they were kind of in a very similar situation. Like, they had a quarterback in Joe Flacco, who, much like Jimmy G, could start games. Yes, like, he can start games. He can, be efficient at times. He can get you to win sometimes, But at the time, was he more towards the, ascent of his career or the descent? In Flacco's case, it was the descent. And in, I think, Jimmy G's case, I think he's on a decline as well right now, considering the way he's just been playing. And it can be for a variety of reasons. But at the end of the day, this is a results-driven business. If you don't get it done, you're going to be done. That's the cutthroat nature of football. And you don't, I said this before, and I'll say it again, you don't spend a first-round pick on a guy. You don't trade for a guy, all that stuff, if you're not planning on starting him eventually if the situation arises. They are 2-4. They're not necessarily playing bad football. This is actually a very competitive 2-4 football team. Their defense really keeps them in games. The lack of running game has not helped them. I think Trey Lance can help with that. I think he has tremendous upside. The guy I compared him to when he was coming out, and a lot of people looked at me weird. I compared him to Josh Allen when he was coming out, a guy who small state, small school, you know, a lot of raw ability, a lot of intangibles, leadership qualities, a guy who at the end of the day, he will study the game and get it done and get what needs to be done, and he will will your team to victory. That is what I see in Trey Lance. The upside in him is superstar potential. And is Kyle Shanahan the quarterback or the guru, the coach to make that happen? I don't know. Because I don't know, what Kyle Shanahan, can do with a young quarterback and molding him like that. But what I do know is that Kyle Shanahan has had a lot of seasons where it's just kind of he's gotten a pass for bad records. And it's a lot to do with Jimmy G getting injured, but at some time he's got to realize that my job isn't going to be safe forever. I think this week he's got to really understand that and take that seriously. He's got to pull the trigger, put Trey Lance in, potentially save your job, and potentially save your season. Because again, this is not a team that's playing bad football. They are competitive in a lot of games. It's just their offense and the way it's working. It's just a hindrance a lot of times. And I think that Trey Lance, if you work to his strengths, if you do a lot of pistol stuff, if you throw the ball deep, which I think the receivers on this team would really love that, by the way. But if you do a lot of that stuff, I think that they can win games with Trey Lance and potentially, I'm not saying playoffs. I don't know, but who knows? Lamar Jackson came in. No, people said he should have switched positions. 6 months later, he's in the playoffs, 10-6, led them to a 6-1 record as a starting quarterback as a rookie. All right, so we've seen crazier things happen in this league, but right now is the time to make the switch. You got to do it. Yeah.
Oh.
So if you guys have
Start him, man. Start Trey Lance, man.
Start Trey Lance, man. And Jimmy G, all love to you, my guy. All love to Jimmy G, man. Like no hate on him. It's just much like Jalen Hurts. I just don't think right now he's in the best position to see him succeed.
The game is about circumstances, man. Look at Tom Brady. Tom Brady wins all the time because he's always in the best circumstance. You need to put guys in the best possible circumstance that they can be in, considering their skill set, what they are good and not good at, and then surround them with pieces.
And
no team seems to know how to do that ever.
Well, who does? The Baltimore Ravens, man. And again, I think
every team Tom Brady plays for,
and every team Tom Brady, and yeah, but no, I mean, I think the 49ers could do a very similar thing that the Ravens did in 2018. Like, limit the playbook, work to your quarterback's strengths. Just have him go out there and get that in-game experience, and don't try to complicate it. Don't overcomplicate it because at the end of the day, you want to play a quarterback to his strengths. You don't want someone to end up like Justin Fields right now in Chicago, where God bless that man, but he is being set up to fail in that city. Like, it is. I've never seen I don't think I've ever seen a quarterback as misused like in his rookie year like that as Justin Fields has been. It is, again, a lot of people don't pay attention because the Bears are crap and everyone hates Nagy, but it is just they're just not playing to his strengths at all. They're not getting him outside the pocket. They're forcing him in the pocket when, young quarterback, hey, why don't we get him comfortable? Run some bootlegs. They do it all the time with Baker Mayfield, and it works there. But nah, we don't want to do that with Justin Fields. We want him to be Mitch Trubisky 2.0, have another draft bust on our hands, which, again, you said it, Dro. It's a game of circumstance. But, anything else on this situation, guys?
Start Trey Lance and free Jimmy G to a better situation.
Free Jimmy G, bro. Send that man to like
second chance for Jimmy G too, man. He's got to figure it out expeditiously.
I mean,
final takes. I see that you're pulling out. Can I ask you guys a question?
Please.
Should that guy have given back Tom Brady's 600th touchdown?
No.
Was it worth it?
No.
What they gave him in return? $1,000 in team credit.
A Bitcoin.
2 season passes for this year and next year. A Bitcoin. Signed jerseys, helmets from what's his name and from Tom Brady and from Mike Evans.
Yeah.
And all of that it's still not worth it. If I had that football, I'm gone, bro. I'm leaving the game, and from there, I am negotiating. I'm waiting until I'm gonna let eBay decide. I'm letting eBay decide how much I'm gonna ask Tom Brady for. Hey, this is my football. It's not yours anymore. He gave it to me. I didn't steal it. I could leave the stadium just fine, and no one would say anything. You would have to give me like a minimum of. Matter of fact, I would ask Tom Brady to buy me a house completely paid off. Completely paid off.
Bro,
Smart man.
My phone, my computer's about to die. I'm about to go upstairs right quick. But if I'm that guy, I'm at least getting my student loans paid off, because I'm not. Leave it up to God, because I'm not paying those student loans off myself. But Tom Brady can definitely pay it off, because I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah,
call God, man.
Call God, man. Here's all I gotta say about that. And Brooks, you can go do what you gotta do if you need to
plug your computer in, bro.
Go plug your computer in, my G. But actually, I don't even know. I don't feel like we're gonna be here longer. How much you got left? You got left for like another minute.
I got
or
like 3% left. I just wanted to hear your take, and I was gonna go upstairs.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, my last take on the Tom Brady thing. My God, bro. Like, hold on. If you're ever in that situation again, hold on to that ball. Do exactly what Dro said. Go get an agent. Get an agent, make that shit into an NFT before you give it back. Get those NFT rights, my G. Like, just no. You gotta, bro. Hustlers never sleep. That's all I gotta say. Like, you gotta be.
I would be so gone, bro. I would be gone, bro. I swear to God, I don't care how much time is left. I'm gone, bro. Ain't nobody getting that football from me, man. And not only that, I might need like 2 or 3 Bitcoins with the house too. If you really want the football, if not, I'll just keep it. I don't care. I don't need a house. I don't need the Bitcoins. I'll eventually work my way up to that. I don't need that shit from Tom Brady. I'm keeping this damn football.
Bro, you could get like any loan you want just by having that football. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
the security
bro, that ball is like equivalent to a Babe Ruth baseball from like whenever Babe Ruth last hit like his record home run. Like, that shit is probably selling for millions. There's no way Tom Brady's Bitcoin and jerseys and all that and season pass, it's not enough. It's not even close to enough. And they can easily, Tom Brady could easily, and the team could easily give that man exactly what that ball is worth. The problem is he's under the Brady spell of the dink and dunks, the beautiful unathletic man that Tom Brady is on a football field. He's just blinded by all that. I see past all that shit, and I'm keeping the football, and I'm getting what I want for this football, or I'm keeping it.
Bro, it's just like you said it though. Like, you get that ball, and like they put that 600 touchdown thing up on the screen. Gone. Like, I'm going home.
So gone, bro.
Like, it's like I don't care. I spent, how much did I spend on these seats? Like $2,000. I don't give a fuck. I'm
gone,
GG.
bro,
I'm
right?
out. Like I'm going home. I'm ordering Uber Eats. We gonna have a party.
Sir.
We like it's about to go down. You already know. Like it's just I just don't.
Damn,
I don't get it.
To Brooks.
Don't worry.
Zoom.
Don't worry.
Looks like his computer died. But can I say one last thing before we get out of here? I actually got work tomorrow off the early, so I'm gonna throw one last bone out there for you guys to really digest it. I think the Bills are gonna win the Super Bowl this year.
And I think you're full of shit. Ravens.
I think the Bulls are gonna win the Bills are gonna win the Super Bowl this year.
It'd be one hell of a thing if the Bulls won the Super Bowl, wouldn't it? Like, that'd be a story. That'd be a story.
Bro, they're like the greatest
Typo.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, I think we're just about ready to wrap up here. We're at our 2-hour limit, but hey, yo, Brooks, Dro, Pedro, thank you so much for coming on. It's been an honor, a pleasure, a real experience having y'all on. Like, and again, guys, if you haven't already, please check out HMO Podcast, youtube.com/HMO Podcast. The link for that is in the description of this episode, of wherever you're watching this, whether it's on YouTube, Spotify, wherever. It's right there. HMO Podcast, at HMO.podcast on Instagram, at HMOENT on Twitter. Patreon.com/HMO Podcast. Check out what they got going on over there. Just But minimum, hit that subscribe button because y'all are not going to be disappointed in the great content they're producing. Thank you guys so much for coming on.
Yes, sir, man. Listen to this. Listen to this last pitch about HMO podcast, man.
Please make
Every
the pitch.
time we're going on live, every time me or Pedro puts up a video, we put our Mike Green energy. We put that bang energy into every piece of content we put out there.
That's
so
facts.
I can guarantee you, like a Joe Namath Super Bowl guarantee, that you will enjoy our content. Listen, man.
Goddamn
Real Take
tea.
Sports Talk, HMO podcast, man. This is a great experience. Omer, thanks for having us, man. Talked a lot of bad, talked a lot of good. I enjoyed my experience, man. Thank you so much for hosting this podcast.
Yeah, man. Definitely. Thanks for having us, bro. This is a dope channel that you got going on. It's growing fast. I see you, every time I check your channel, you're going up in subscribers. You're consistent. You know your shit. You talk like a fucking bro. Like you talk like you're on ESPN already, man. Like you got the voice for it.
Bro, you got the ESPN production over here too,
yeah,
man.
bro. Like really, seriously, man. What you're doing here is dope. Keep it up. Like I was saying earlier, that advice I was giving to creatives goes to you as well. If anybody ever has feedback on how you could improve the show, always keep an ear open, man, because the potential of this channel is insane, man. And I'm glad that we are one of the early early guests to be on here before you hit 1,000 subscribers. So, from there, it's just going to keep getting better and better, man. So keep
just
doing
wait.
your thing. And thanks for having us.
Y'all just wait till that's gonna be one wild ass watch party when we hit 1,000.
Facts,
we gonna have the whole crew. We gonna have old Andrew, Trenzy, Johnny G, who the people on this channel miss so much. Big shout out to Johnny G doing his shit in law school. But yo, thank you, Brooks, bro, for the kind words. I really appreciate it. We'll have you on again soon, very soon, and we'll do some stuff. HMO Real Take event coming to you soon. Guys, keep the conversation. Right. Yep, guys, keep the conversation going on Twitter at Real Take Sports. Be sure to subscribe on YouTube. Hit us up on Instagram and Facebook at Real Take Sports Talk. And until then, keep it real.